Yo, what's going on, guys? So we are 1 week into the league, and normally at this point I would make a video titled "How did I get my Mage Blood within the first week?" or "How I did get my mirror" or something like that. But as you can see here, I still don't have my Mage Blood. So in today's video, I want to talk about what went wrong with my strategy during the first week of the league. But to be honest, I actually still have a lot of fun, even though, like I said, I still don't have a Mage Blood. It did actually make me try out some other things, and I actually was able to complete Wave 30 Simulacrum on my Toxic Rain without Mage Blood. So I actually had a lot of fun tinkering with build and trying to figure out how to do Wave 30 Simulacrum without it. And it has been a success, and yesterday I finally started farming Wave 30. That being said, it's still not 100% of the time wave 30. Sometimes I'm failing at like wave 28 or something, especially if there is chaos resist wave, but I can still also fix these things. So, like I said, in today's video I want to talk about the first week, so what went wrong, what went right, and then I also want to show you my build, so how I was able to reach wave 30. And by the way, the cost is probably between 50 and 70 divines. So I expect this video to be pretty long, so if you are only interested in a build portion of a video or just the week 1 strategy, you can look at the timestamp of the video. And here in the background you can see me doing wave 30 for the first time. Okay, so let's start with the strategy. So in case you don't know, I did make a video before this league about my Simulacrum gem leveling strategy, which involves farming highest early on and then swapping to Simulacrum. And to be honest, I did this strategy many times before, and it always has been very nice, and I also made videos about it. But this time around, for some reason, a video attracted way more attention than normally, so a lot more people were interested in this strategy, which obviously did lead to prices of certain items being much higher, and also things like Simulacrum prices being higher. So that was obviously the first issue. But if you would ask me if I did regret making this video, I would say no, because I did this strategy many times before and I actually am interested in doing different things. So I'm actually happy that a lot of other people also had some fun time with this strategy this league, because I definitely have been hearing from people that they had fun, they made a lot of currency, especially people that got lucky during the heist farming part of the strategy. They started doing simulacrums early on and they were able to make a lot of currency. So yeah, I am actually still happy that a lot of people did try it out, but I also am probably gonna go back to it in the future, but probably not as often. Okay, so the second biggest issue was that this league we got a new Arch Nemesis rewards. So basically when you kill an Arch Nemesis monster, you get certain rewards, and one of these rewards is gem XP. And this led to basically everyone leveling gems. Whatever you're doing, mapping or whatever, everyone is leveling gems much faster than before. And also I do believe these Arch Nemesis modifiers still give extra XP when you are doing simulacrums or things like 5-way. I'm not too sure, I can't 100% confirm it, but from what I noticed this league, my gems are leveling way faster. So this also led to just prices of the gems to just be much lower than normally. I think on a day 2, when I started leveling normal gems for simulacrums, empowers and items were still decent profit, like 1 divine per. And then, because I was leveling normal gems, I wasn't making that much profit from them, so I decided to swap to logbooks. I actually farmed logbooks for like a day just to make some extra currency to be able to afford empowers and an item to level them up so I can make profit from them. But after that 1 day passed, I made that currency. Well, leveling empowers and items was no longer viable. You would make only maybe like 20 C per gem. And it takes like between, I would say, 7 to 12 simulacrums to level empower and enlighten, so it wasn't super worth it. So at this point, I knew already that I'm not gonna be able to make Mage Blood early on, and also Awakened gems, by the way, were also not great of a profit. Normally they would be like 2 divines profit per gem, and at that point they were less than 1 divine per gem. So like I said, I knew I'm not gonna be able to make a Mage Blood, so I did make a different approach to Simulacrum. I basically shifted from leveling gems to just making profit from loot, and especially since simulacrums, after me farming logbooks, went down in price. They were 100 chaos earlier, which also is probably partially because of my video, but they actually started going down and they were like 50 chaos. So I figured I probably can just make money from loot. So I decided to upgrade my build so I can maybe go for higher waves, maybe eventually up to wave 30. So I did that, and to be honest, loot, profit per hour from farming simulacrums like wave 25 plus is definitely very nice. You can probably make around 5 divines per hour. With wave 30, I'm making probably more, which to be honest, normally would be even much higher. You would probably make like 10 divines per hour, but this league overall, I think people are making less. So 5 divines per hour is actually not even that bad. So I'm definitely gonna stick to this strategy for a while. So now that we know what went wrong, let's talk about my build, so how I was able to reach wave 30. And by the way, I'm not gonna talk about the basic version for this build, which can reach up to wave 18, 20. I made already a video about that, and also I made the update video in after like 2 days of the league, I believe. So you can watch this video if you are interested what I was using initially. So the first big difference, the first big upgrade that I went for is Devouring Diadem. A lot of people this league are playing Toxic Rain, and everyone that is mapping is using Devouring Diadem, and I figured I should give it a try. It might actually end up being good, but the main reason why I wasn't using it is because my helmet usually gives me a lot of resistances, and it's very hard to cap your resist when you are using things like Zerfi, Maloney, and so on. So yeah, I decided to try it out anyway. Maybe I can get some resistances somewhere else. And the reason why Devouring Diadem is good is actually for multiple reasons. So first reason is that it's giving 25% increase mana reservation efficiency. So normally I would use Malevolence and Grace. I believe these were the only auras I was using. And thanks to the Devouring Diadem, I actually was able to fit the Purity of Elements, which actually is the way to solve my resistances issues. I was actually thinking when I equipped the Devouring Diadem which aura I should go for, and actually Purity of Element ended up being good. First of all, like I said, it solves your resistances issue, but also it gives you immune to elemental ailment. And before that, the way I was immune to elemental ailment is through the jewel, which a lot of people are using right now, which is the Storm Shroud. Thanks to this jewel plus the either 20% chance to avoid being shocked on implicit, or let me see if I have the other one. Here's the other one, 47% chance to avoid being shocked. And you can also have the flask with chance to avoid being shocked, which is this one. I was using it. You can be element immune. But thanks to the Purity of Elements, I no longer need it. So basically, I am saving myself one suffix on a flask, which is a big thing because we are playing a Pathfinder. I'm saving one full jewel slot and one mod on an Abyss jewel. So that's a lot of benefits already. Next thing is that when you use Devouring Diadem, you're gonna get Eldritch Battery, which basically makes your energy shield, instead of protecting your life, it protects your mana. So as you can see, I'm using energy shield to use Toxic Rain. And this partially solves a mana issue. It's not perfect. I can definitely tell you that when I'm using Zerfi's Heart and I have a lot of Soul Eater stacks, my attack speed is so high that my energy shield still drops down. So I'm still going for minus mana cost on rings, and I actually ended up also crafting a reduced mana cost during the effect. But how you're gonna sustain your energy shield? Well, first of all, just energy shield recharge is actually pretty good. Just normally you're gonna have it. On top of that, you can craft on belt or regenerate 150 energy shield per second when there's rare or unique enemy nearby. So there is no rare or unique enemy right now, so it doesn't work. So normally it is actually much higher. And when you're doing simulacrums, there's pretty much always a rare or unique enemy near you. But the biggest thing is actually this passive. Gain 15 energy shield per enemy killed. It also gives you life, which is also pretty nice, but it is very nice for the Zerfi. Thanks to this, actually, when you have insane attack speed with your Soul Eater, you still can regen a ton of energy shield, and usually my energy shield is just full all the time when I'm actually killing enemies. So because of this, I actually no longer have to use Mana Flask. So that's another good thing that it gives you. And the next thing is, when you have Energy Shield, you can use your another aura with the Divine Blessing. In case you don't know how it works, it basically makes it so one aura that you're gonna support with it, instead of reserving mana, it is gonna just cost mana and give you a buff. Basically the aura as a buff for a certain amount of time. And thanks to the fact that we are a Toxic Rain build, we actually benefit a lot from skill effect duration. So for example, like here, it's actually gonna last a very long time. So I'm gonna cast my determination here, and you're gonna see I did spend my energy shield, and now for 25 seconds, actually 26, I do have determination. So you just cast it from time to time when you're farming simulacrums. So I basically, thanks to devouring the Adam, I gained 2 auras because of mana reservation efficiency. I gained Purity of Elements for resist and elements immunity. I gained basically no mana issues, and on top of that, I did gain 1 additional aura with Divine Blessing. And if you don't have enough energy shield, you can use the inspiration, or even better, divergent inspiration, so that it costs less. Okay, so that was the first big thing. And because I no longer needed to use the Mana Flask, I decided to try out the Progenesis Flask. And this, combined with Forbidden Taste, which I replaced my Life Flask with, is actually a pretty good combo. So in case you don't know how these flasks work, I'm actually going to explain it right now. So first, Forbidden Taste. When you normally use your Life Flask, well, obviously you just use it to regenerate your life, but you can't enchant it. And it would be actually very nice if Life Flask would just automatically use when you take damage, right? So let's say something hits you for 50% of your life, and your Life Flask just instantly would heal you. But we can't do it because you can't enchant Life Flask. But this flask, Forbidden Taste, is actually a quartz flask. But the effect, which you can read at the bottom, is recover 100% life on use, which basically acts as a life flask. And we can enchant it with used when you take Savage Hit. And Savage Hit, I believe, is 15% of your full life. So any point you take 15% of your life, this flask is just automatically used, and it heals you for 100%. But it also have a downside, which is it drains 25% of your maximum life as chaos damage per second. But because we have a lot of chaos resist, right now 72, and when I use Progenesis, it's basically 75, it actually doesn't hurt you that much. And here you can see I use it, it just hits me. And we have a lot of regen from these flasks just being used, and the Master Surgeon. So as you can see here, I'm just recovering a lot of life automatically when my flask charges reach full. So this flask basically saves you from just big hits. When you get hit, you're not even gonna notice your life move, because the action of taking hit and the Forbidden Taste use actually happen at the same time. So you're just gonna see flask being used here, but you're not even gonna see your life moving. And like I said, you have insane heal, so the degen is actually not that bad. And the second flask is Progenesis. So this flask, what it does is, when you get hit, 25% of the damage taken occurs over 4 seconds instead. And because we have a lot of flask effectiveness, it's more like, I would say, 35%, maybe 30, I'm not too sure. It's probably somewhere in between, maybe like 33. So this flask saves you from one-shots. So basically, when you have 4k life, and let's say something hits you for 4.3k life, instead you're gonna just lose your life up to maybe like here, and the rest of the life and more than that is gonna be a degen. But because you didn't get one-shotted, the Forbidden Taste is gonna heal you. So these flasks actually have a nice synergy and also counter synergy. So basically what I mean by that, if you get hit for like 50% of your life, Forbidden Taste is just gonna heal you. If you get hit for more than your life, Progenesis is gonna protect you, and Forbidden Taste is gonna heal you, which is nice synergy. But counter synergy is the fact that when you get hit for like 50% life, Forbidden Taste would already save you, but because you have Progenesis, part of that damage, so 32%, is gonna be transferred to damage over time, which leads to actually like stacking a lot of damage over time from the hits that wouldn't kill you. But obviously, if you have insane regen or some other recovery, you can counter this easily, so you don't really feel the drawback of the degen that much, but still the Progenesis is gonna save you from the one-shots. So how do we regen that much life? Like I said, we have Master Sergeant from Ascendancy, and every single flask is being used when it reaches full charges, and obviously we hit a lot of enemies, so we constantly just gain life from these flasks. And because I'm no longer using mana flask, now I have 4 flasks, so a lot of them are just being spammed. And on these 2 flasks I crafted reduced charges per use. You can also get the craft that gives gain, I think it's 3 charges every time you get hit, but to be honest, I do have also quite big evasion and I don't get that many hits. Usually when I do get hit, it's actually like a big hit, so I don't know exactly which one is better. I personally prefer reduced charges per use. So that's the first way we get heal. Second way is through life on kill, and the third way is actually through the Watcher Eye. So I did buy life per enemy hit while affected by vitality. Obviously we don't have a hit cap, so it's not gonna be procced all the time, but still it's actually pretty good recovery, and yeah, it is gonna help you very often. And obviously you can still just use Forbidden Taste when you feel like you need it when you are at low life. Okay, so this is basically all of these things. So Progenesis Flask and the Forbidden Taste. Actually, you can start using Forbidden Taste even earlier, but Progenesis is basically thanks to the Devouring Diadem, because I no longer need Mana Flask. And like I said, on top of that I have Resist, I have a good amount of Armour, and because I can start using Determination for Armour, I decided to remove my Quartz Flask that I had in here, and I replaced it with Granite Flask with increased Armour. And the reason why I could do that is, well, first of all, on Suffix I could remove the chance to avoid being shocked because of the Purity of Elements, but I also could remove the spell suppression because I just bought boots with chance to suppress spell damage. So I actually didn't craft them, I just bought them. I also crafted the enchant, chance to suppress spell damage, which is not really needed, it's just sometimes going to help you if you are maybe not a spell suppress cap. But yeah, basically on boots, I just want spell suppression, good resist, life, and onslaught. And I also actually on my first, I think it's Eldritch Ichor, no, it's Searing Exarch mod orb use, I actually got the action speed, so that was pretty lucky. But yeah, these are basically the boots I got. So I think these were all of the upgrades that I did to be able to reach wave, I would say probably like 24. From time to time, if I got lucky, I would even do more, maybe 25, maybe 26. But basically with that's was able to happen because of Devouring Diadem, Progenesis, and some additional Armour and resist from Purity of Elements. I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anything. Also, obviously, I went for some small upgrades like Awakened Vicious Projectile, Divergent Mirage Archer, Awakened Void Manipulation, Empower level 4. I actually had to corrupt, I think, like 20 empowers before I got my first level 4, so it was pretty unlucky. I also did get a Phantasmal Toxic Rain level 2120, which is also pretty good. And if you would ask me if it's better to use normal 2120 or Phantasmal 2020 without 21, I'm, to be honest, not too sure. I probably would stick with 21. 21 is gonna give you more damage, but 2020 gonna give you more clear. Damage is probably more important. So yeah, that's what I did at this point. And like I said, I was able to reach like wave 25, and the biggest issue I did notice that I have during high waves was actually my damage. My survivability was actually very nice, and also thanks to the armor I was able to use a Molten Shell and Val Molten Shell, and if you are wondering, I had around, I think, 15,000 armor. So I started noticing that my damage is lacking, because when I would die, I would most of the time die when there would be like a lot of monsters around me, which basically meant that if I had higher damage, they would be dead, so they wouldn't be able to kill me. And also when I was looking at my rewards, very rarely I would get 5 rewards. Most of the time I would get 4, even sometimes actually 3 rewards without dying, so that definitely meant that my damage is not good enough. So I went back to my PoE and I tried to figure out how to improve my damage. So the thing that I wanted to do is what you can see. Normally I would have my second cluster jewel set up at the bottom, and I figured I can go to the top to get these Chaos Mastery with additional chaos damage and the effect of auras, which would affect obviously malevolence for more damage, but also would give me some survivability because of the grace and determination. And also maybe some reservation mass efficiency, which would let me use Defiance Banner. But to do that, I needed more levels. So I actually did level up until 96, and the way I did it is I just did 20 waves and I left Simulacrums. I did not continue. I did it for like, I actually don't even know, maybe like 10 Simulacrums or something, and I was able to level up until 96. I could probably level up even more, and probably should, to be honest, reach maybe like 98. But basically that was my goal, to get more levels so I can actually go to the top for more damage mostly. But even with just removal of this and the additional levels from the 96, it still was not enough points. So I actually had to remove this area of the tree. And the most important thing in here was spell suppression and also some life and 1 jewel. But you can get this jewel in here if you feel like it. I probably will if I get 2 more levels. And the loss of spell suppression I basically countered with crafting my chest and the gloves. And also I figured if I'm gonna craft them, I'm gonna get the increased effect of auras, which is also gonna affect my malevolence. So as you can see here on this chest, it has 27% and 20 effect of all auras, which is pretty much 50% increased effect of malevolence. And if you look at malevolence, it gives 21% more damage and 20 skill effect duration. So just this implicit gives me 10% more damage and 10% skill effect duration. So now I want to show you how I did craft these 2 items. So first let's start with the chest. So like I said, the most important thing that I wanted to get from these 2 items was spell suppression, so I don't no longer need as much of it on the tree. So I started with the body armor, and I went for armor and evasion, and that was actually my biggest mistake, because previously I was using the carcass jack, which gives energy shield, 200 energy shield, which actually is important to be able to cast the determination. And I had like 400 energy shield, and it did cost 400, which was good enough. But when I went for this base, I lost that energy shield and I didn't notice it, so I had to start using Divine Blessing. I had to replace my ring, so it has less mana, because cost of the determination depends on how much mana you have. And I also needed to get 30% quality, maybe some other small changes. I think this energy shield from here also helped. So yeah, I basically had to fix it. So what I highly suggest doing is just going for something like strength int, so getting some energy shield and armor at the same time, or maybe even just full energy shield base. So item level was 85 because I went for the fractured tier 2 spell suppression, because tier 1, to be honest, was too expensive. I think they were going for like 10 divines, and tier 2 was like 1, maybe 2 divines, so these bases were much cheaper. So again, let's start with the spell suppression. So actually I forgot that armor and energy shield base can't roll spell suppression, so let's go back. You would actually make the dexterity and int for evasion and energy shield. So again, 85. It actually can be 84 because the only thing that we care about is tier 1 resists. So 84 is the minimum, and you would have tier 2 spell suppression. Actually, this is tier 2. Let's go for tier 1, the best roll, so 19%, and you would fracture it. So I just bought the base like that. Actually, you might even not want to go for Cardinal Armor because it gives you mana, and you don't want to have maximum mana. So maybe go for a different base, but I'm not gonna change it right now. So the way you would want to craft it is, first thing, you want tier 1 life, and normally you would need the item level 86 for tier 1 life. As you can see here, I can't reach tier 1, but with the essence, so you would be able to do that. So Essence of Greed is gonna give you tier 1 life, basically. So the things that we care about are actually prefixes on this base, because we want this outcome. We want Armor during Soul Gain Prevention, because we have our Valgrace active most of the time, and the Molten Shell, which is gonna give you a ton of armor and percentage life and mana. And you don't really care which one you unveil, which one you craft after, you just want both of them, and both of them are prefixes. So to do that, you need to just spam Essence until you have only life as your prefix. And to be honest, I'm not super sure if this is the best way to craft it. This is just what I did, and it did work out for me. So I just wanted to have no other prefixes so that I can actually have no bad modifiers after the async. So this is what I went for, and I also crafted any just random prefix. So let's say something like mana, and actually this is not crafted. Let's go here. Let's go with increase armor. So this way, when you're gonna go now with the async, you are gonna either remove one of the suffixes or prefix life, and if it removes life, obviously it's bricked. If it removes one of the suffixes, then it's 50-50 to add either prefix or suffix. So you would do that, and it added prefix. So if it added a suffix, let me do, actually getting very lucky in here. Why am I getting constantly prefix? Finally suffix, it took so many times. Okay, so if you get suffix, it's basically also bricked, and you just go back to the essence spamming. But if you do get the prefix, and now I can't get the prefix, what is happening? Okay, so I got prefix, you just unveil it, and obviously you have to hope that it didn't remove life. And now, like I said, you go either for percentage life, which I got here, or increased armor during Soul Gain Prevention. And you probably also should block one of the modifiers. I'm actually not too sure which one would be the best to block. Probably either a chance to avoid elemental ailments or something like block. I'm not too sure, just craft one of the things. So we would craft this, basically this way. Now you can't get it from unveiling. So you would unveil it, and here I got percentage life, and you would have item like this. And in my case, I actually got armor in there, and I actually think I would prefer, if I got both of them, I think I would prefer to get the armor as an unveil, because difference in life is not that much, and if you're gonna get a lower roll, it's gonna be 9. If you craft it, it's 8, so difference in life is not that big, but the difference in armor is actually decent, so I actually would prefer to go for armor. And you would just craft percentage life, so this one, and obviously you will roll until you hit 8%, so multiple times. Oh, here I got 8%, and now you only care about your suffixes. So at this point you can go to Eldritch Crafting, you use, I believe it's this one. When you go with this one, and then you Chaos Orb, it is gonna keep the prefixes, but it's gonna reroll suffixes. So you can just spam Chaos Orbs for something decent like resists, but obviously these are pretty expensive, and most of the time they will make you just have no mods on the item. So what you can do is you can just use Eldritch Exalt, or even just a normal Exalt, and see what you get. Then you use the Eldritch Annul, and then again Exalt, until you hit something decent. And this I probably would keep, to be honest. And if you hit something decent, let's hit again, like tier 4 Fire Lightning Grass, I probably would reroll it. I probably would go for something like at least tier 3. So let's go to suffixes and let's add like a lightning res, let's say tier 2. Now you use another exalt and you also hope for something decent. And this time I didn't get anything, but I still would just keep the chest like this. Or you can go for Armour and try again. But yeah, basically you can do this multiple times and until you get something that is good enough. Chaos Res, that would actually be pretty good. So what I actually got is I got Lightning Res, and then I did use a second one, and I did hope for Chaos Res, and I did get Chaos Res, but I got the lowest possible tier, tier 6, and also almost lowest possible roll, 6 Chaos Resist. And because of that, I actually am not a Chaos Resist cap without Progenesis. I'm probably gonna eventually divine it for 9%, so I actually have 75% cap without Progenesis. So that's how I crafted my chest. And then obviously after that, you just go for the Eldritch mods. So you roll with the, which one is it? Increase effect of all auras is Searing Exarch. So you just use the, I actually was using Grand Embers, and you just roll until you get your increase effect of all auras. And then you use the Orbs of Conflict to increase its tier. So here it didn't work, here it did work. Obviously, you would just continue doing it. Oh, what? Yeah, you would get tier 6, but obviously increase effect of auras, and then you go for the other one, and you go for Malevolence. So like I said, I'm not gonna show it in here because it's actually very low chance. But if you don't feel like spending a lot of currency, you can obviously not use the Orbs of Conflicts and just keep the tier, I believe it is tier 3 or 4. But yeah, that's what I ended up with. Just perfect. The increase the effect of auras and the grand effect of Malevolence. And it actually can be very costly. I did expect these both items to take like 10 divines to craft in total, and it did end up like 20. Mostly because of the Eldritch implicits. It actually took a long time for me to roll them. Okay, so now let's go with the gloves. So gloves were actually a bit more complicated, but not too much. I definitely spent a lot of money on Aceling. And by the way, Aceling is actually pretty cheap this league, so you shouldn't expect to spend too much. And with gloves also, you probably would prefer to have Dex Int, so you have some extra energy shield. And item level, this one I think is 85, because tier 1 spell suppression is 85, and these were also pretty cheap, like 1 to 2 divines, so definitely cheaper than tier 1 chest. That's why for the gloves I went for the tier 1 spell suppression. So item level 85, and again you start with the fractured spell suppression, and you do basically the same thing. You go to the essences, you use Essence of Green. Where is it? Oh, I have it here. And you get your life. And here we actually care about suffixes, which is different than the chest. On the chest we cared about prefixes, now we care about suffixes. Oh, actually I forgot to fracture. Fracture this. And Essence of Greed. Okay. So here you want your suffixes to be clean when you are using Aceling, because after the Aceling you want no third suffix. You could technically do something like this, where you go for no suffixes, or you even either use the annul. Let's say you end up with item like this. Actually, you would need to have 2 prefixes, so item like this, and then you craft prefixes cannot be changed in here. And now when you go for Aceling, it is guaranteed to remove this mod, and it's guaranteed to also give a suffix, which we want. So you go to the Aceling, and like you see here, it's always going to remove it, and it's going to give you suffix. But 2 divines for prefixes cannot be changed is pretty expensive, so I didn't want to do that. So what I ended up doing is basically this. I just got 2 random modifiers. To be honest, you could try to get something decent like a hybrid life or something like that, but to be honest, I didn't really care too much about prefixes, and now I went for the async, which technically actually you can also craft like one random suffix, let's say like this. You have 25% chance that it's gonna remove your life, and you have 50-50 that it's gonna give suffix or prefix. Or if it's gonna remove suffix, which is vcraft, it is guaranteed to give you suffix because prefixes are full. So technically hitting async here has a very, very high chance that actually give you what you want. So let's see, this time it actually removed the random mod and it gave you a prefix. So this time it actually did fail because you want a suffix. Let's go again. We got prefix again, and now we got suffix, but it removed life. And this was exactly my experience. I actually used, I think, like 6 or maybe even more asyncs before I actually was able to hit what I wanted, which is, oh, and again, when it gave suffix, it removed life. Let's try a few more times, and we finally got it. We got veiled suffix, and now what you do is you craft the, let me find it, increase global critical strike chance. This mod is gonna remove the highest amount of weight from the item when you're gonna unveil the suffix. And here, what we hope for is increase attack and cast speed while focused, or the increased damage with non-val skills during soul gain prevention. What I got is I got this, but I think I actually would prefer the increased attack speed while focused, but it doesn't matter too much. After that, you just craft the other one, just like we did with the chest. So let me find it in here. Increase attack and cast speed while focus, and you basically are done. We have 3 suffixes. If you don't have a prefix, you can obviously exalt or something like that, and these gloves are done. They are a bit more tricky with acelink. You have less chances that on the chest to hit the right acelink, but it still shouldn't be too expensive, especially since acelink is between like 60 and 100 chaos right now. And on the gloves, you also want to go for Eldritch crafting, and just to show you what I have, you want to go for chaos damage over time multi and spell suppression. And here it also took me a long time to hit the, I didn't even end up with tier 1's dot multi. I actually settled on tier 2 because I did spend like 5 maybe more divines on trying to hit tier 1, and I just couldn't with Orbs of Conflict, so I did run out of currency, so I gave up. Okay, so we are finally done with crafting. So these 2 items gave me mostly spell suppression, which is what I needed the most. They also gave me some additional resist from the suffixes in here, but also I gained a lot of life from flat life, percentage life, here also 90 life, and also it increased my damage during soul gain prevention and attack speed while focus. And also implicit dot multi, which you would normally get on the influence gloves as a suffix. So here you can just get it as an implicit, which is pretty much the same. And on the chest, obviously, it also gave me a lot of armor and increased effect of auras, which increases the damage from malevolence, but also the armor, evasion, and so on from all of the other auras. So it's very, very good chest. And the reason why I went for the increased damage during soul gain prevention is obviously because I'm using Valgrace and Molten Shell, so it's gonna last almost the whole wave in Simulacrum, so you're gonna get not only effects of a Molten Shell, Grace, Soul Eater, but now you're also gonna gain 3.5k armor and around 75% damage. So it's a very, very good mod in here. And the focus is because during soul gain prevention we are gonna be very powerful, but when you're fighting the wave in Simulacrum, during first like 5 to 10 seconds, you don't have your soul gain prevention yet because you're gonna wait a bit to use your Valgrace and Molten Shell because it's not gonna last the entire wave. And you don't have that much attack speed, so focus actually helps a lot during that moment. So usually what I do is I start the wave, I shoot a little bit, then monsters start spawning, I use my determination, then I use my focus, and I just go ham with all of my flask, and I just deal damage, I avoid stuff. And then usually somewhere around this point I will just start using Valgrace and Molten Shell. And with the second focus, I would slowly start stacking them. So these 2 mods are actually very niche mods that are actually very good, pretty much just for this build. Okay, so with these 2 items, I was able to go to the top and get the additional damage and effect of auras. And right now, I do have, during soul gain prevention, I actually do have around 45,000 armor and 26k armor. I mean evasion. With Valgrace, obviously, I have 95% evasion because Valgrace gives additional 15%. And like I said, with the armor from the chest, I have like 45,000 armor. So I have insane defenses against attacks and physical damage. But the only thing I'm missing is elemental damage prevention, which normally I would fix with Mage Blood. So I would use Topaz, Ruby, and Sapphire Flask. So that's the only thing that pretty much can kill me. I mean, obviously you can still die from time to time to the attacks, but it's not gonna happen as often with this setup. But to be honest, even after getting all of this, getting these two items, getting Devouring Diadem and the Flask setup, I still was not able to reach wave 30. I actually was able to reach like 28, especially when I would get Chaos Resist waves, I would fail. I think even with the setup, maybe I would reach wave 30, it just wouldn't happen that often, but I still felt like I need more damage. And I believe at this point I had like 7 million DPS without the Soul Eater buff. So what I ended up doing is I finally was able to get my last upgrade that I actually was waiting to buy for a very long time, but I just couldn't buy one on trade because there was either none of them or they were too expensive. But yesterday I finally was able to buy it, which is the Forbidden Flame with Occupying Force and Forbidden Flesh with Occupying Force. So this one I did buy for 50 chaos and this one for 6 divines. And let me tell you, I did not realize how good it is. I thought it's actually pretty nice. It's just some nice additional damage. But once I got it, it was basically a game changer. When I look at my PoB, it increased my damage from 7 million DPS to 11 million DPS. So it's pretty much like 50% more damage. It's actually ridiculous. And it works very well in Simulacrums because the Mirage Archers are just gonna be next to each other, and very often you're gonna just be able to dodge stuff and they are gonna constantly attack. With a ton of attack speed from Soul Eater, they are just gonna shoot super fast. It's actually ridiculous, and with this I instantly was able to reach wave 30. And like I said, I still can sometimes fail if I just get unlucky and I get hit by a big hit and I just die, or I hit the Chaos Resist wave with boss and boss maybe spawns somewhere in a corner and I can't just nuke him. I sometimes still fail, but this is so far the best setup I found to be able to do wave 30 without Mage Blood. And again, it did cost me around, I would say, 70 divines. So what are some of the other upgrades I could go for right now? To be honest, there isn't really that much. And I think with current prices of gems, leveling gems is not that bad, which is why I didn't really feel too bad about equipping so many auras. I actually am thinking about going for a rare Quiver, and you could go for double dot multi, increase attack speed, increase damage with bow, Quiver, which could, I think, be crafted deterministically. I haven't looked into it too much yet, but it's just pretty expensive to craft. And that, checked in PoB, it would increase my damage by even like 50% more, which would definitely help with consistency. I can also obviously go for higher levels. I could go for jewels with double dot multi, like here I have just live chaos damage. I could also go for normal dot multi. And I actually don't have that many free jewel slots anymore. I guess increased effect of curses is also pretty decent, so I could keep it. And if you're wondering about my Pantheon, I am using the Brine King for stun immunity. I could craft stun avoidance 80% on boots, but I actually have 90% spell suppression without being on full life. So because of the Forbidden Taste. So I have 90% spell suppression when I'm not on full life. But I have a lot of conditional spell suppression. So like I said, when I am on full life, because of this, I have 10%, I have 100%. When the Forbidden Taste is used, it also gives 10% spell suppression, but it's not always up, only when you do get hit. And also I have 8% spell suppression if I've been hit by a spell. To be honest, I still probably should change it into the 80% stun avoidance. I might still do that. It's not that bad to have 90% and 100% with Forbidden Taste. And I would go for Lunaris then. And here I have the increase effect of curses. I mean, reduce effect of curses. So going back to the possible upgrades, like I said, I could go for Quiver, maybe for some additional dot multi on jewels, maybe some dot multi on a ring, and to be honest, that's pretty much it. And also, like I said, more levels. I don't think there is that much more I can upgrade in this build. Maybe better belt with like flask effectiveness or reduced charges used, maybe possibly better boots, and awaken at power level 5. Maybe helmet enchant on the Varang Diadem for like +1 Toxic Rain, or maybe corrupted with mana reservation. I think I can, if I go for more mana reservation with things like Enlighten, I could probably fit one additional aura, maybe either Arctic Armor or Skitterbots. So I might also try to do that. But I don't know how far I'm gonna push with this build. To be honest, at this point, like I said, I can do wave 30. And I think I might slowly start to save for the Mage Blood. And like I also mentioned earlier, in case of the profit, I think I'm making like 5 divines plus per hour. But it kind of depends on the lucky drops. And the nice thing about doing wave 30 is that you're gonna very often actually drop high item level cluster jewels, which actually cancel sometimes for a lot. So that's the good benefit from doing wave 30. So your profit is just gonna spike from time to time when you get the rare drops. Okay, so finally finished. This video was probably pretty long. Like I said, I still am having fun, and me not getting Mage Blood early on is probably gonna make me just play the league for longer. I really liked progressing this build, and I'm actually happy that I finally was able to reach wave 30 without the Mage Blood. So maybe in the next leagues, I am actually gonna go for this instead of the Mage Blood. But if the gems are actually gonna give a lot of profit again, I'm probably just gonna save up for the Mage Blood, because like I said, this setup requires a lot of auras, so a lot of gems slots are being wasted. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.